There we go.
Yeah.
It's now being live streamed. No Friday song.
We need like a start dance. I know.
Friday.
Yeah.
We need to
My kids would kill me. Okay.
we need to find an intro.
Yes.
That would be good. Like
You need to invite a DJ to your Friday sessions.
Yeah.
We know one.
There you go.
Okay. Hello, everyone. We are live now, and I'm looking at my Facebook thing. Okay. Now I'm concentrating, and we are excited. Today is Friday. Yay. It's beautiful out. Yay. And we have the most amazing human with us today.
Thank
Vicki
you.
Kotris.
All of us.
Hi, Sandra. Vicki Kotris, who I love dearly and is an amazing soul and a light to all. Vicki, why don't you introduce yourself and tell everyone who you are?
Oh my gosh. Well, I don't know how I topped that. That was one of the nicest things I've ever heard. Thank you, Shannon. So I guess I moonlight as the greatest human on earth, but I also, is what I do on the daily is I own and operate Cleveland Cookie Dough Company, which is a catering and food truck business. And then I also operate Remix Ice Cream, which is our brick and mortar ice cream concept in Cleveland. I host a podcast called The Confetti Filled Life. So I try to stay as connected as I can and have a lot of fun with it. My goal when I started this 5 years ago was always to leave corporate America because I felt very stifled and not creative. And I wasn't connecting with the people that I wanted to be, the network I wanted to be a part of. And so I took the plunge 6 months ago, left my job, and now I'm the ice cream lady full time.
That's
Yay.
awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's so freeing. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's always been my goal. So however I can make it work. Now it's like game on, got to figure it out.
So we were talking before we went live kind of about your journey a little bit. And I'm not going to say too much more. If you want to just share with people whatever it is you feel like you want to share about body image, perception of self, food, whatever you want.
Yeah.
I think it would be helpful because I think you have a unique perspective.
Well, I mean, a lot of it has come with the stripping of the layers and the dissecting of the issues, which we've talked so much about over the past 6 months. So I think when I started on my health journey, which is really how I describe it 6 or 7 months ago, it was because I knew that kind of how I felt when I was in my job that I hated is I knew I was living in this sluggish body that I felt like could do more and I wanted to do more, but I didn't really know how. And all I had been taught is that things are good and bad. Like there's really bad foods, don't eat that. Being fat is bad. And so don't do that. And then there's so many, the psychosis that goes along with that of that the world kind of teaches you that if you're in a body that's not seen as normal, then you should feel guilty and you should feel shameful and you should feel sad. And so my story is probably everyone else's. And Shannon, I'll never forget the day you summarized this. It's like, I kept saying, but I want to lose weight and I want to feel better. And you were like, it actually sounds like you just want to love yourself more instead, in lieu of all of these other things that are going on. And it totally clicked because it's like, yes, at the essence, I want to stop feeling bad about the decisions that I'm making. I want to trust myself. And then I want my net result, I want it to be more energy, enjoying my body, enjoying myself, and losing weight is like the cherry on top of the sundae. And so that's been my story. And, I lost 35 pounds since I started, but I still do look at that as that was like the side effect or, of what happened along the way.
Mm-hmm. I might cry a little.
Beautiful. That was beautiful.
She's very eloquent when she speaks.
Yeah,
I love it. I love you. That was wonderful.
I love you too. I mean, because of you, it's like you hear so many things in so many different ways throughout the years. And it was like, what you said just clicked right then when I needed to hear it. And I think that's what I think, it's like twofold of finding yourself and feeling better about yourself is being in that state of receivership too, of actually wanting to believe that I wanted to feel more love, that I wanted to respect myself and trust myself instead of just, I want to lose weight because everyone thinks that the world thinks that I should,
Yeah. I think for so many of us, when you look underneath the layers of why you want to do certain things, that's, essentially why, right? We just want to like ourselves and love ourselves and be comfortable living in the bodies that we're living in. And I think gets lost with all the stuff and the conditioning and the flavor of the month in the health world that's coming at us constantly.
Yeah. And what's really hard about that is the amount of room in our minds that are totally consumed with the negative thoughts. And I should be doing this. I should be doing that. Well, the hottest new craze is boot camp, and I should be going to boot camp and burning 1,000 calories. And then I'm going to run. And now I'm going to go on a cayenne pepper, honey, liquid diet for a week. And you're like, I need to do all these things. And it's constantly like mind flow and chatter. And I think being able to use a lot of the tools that I learned from working with you, I have, even in like this new phase of my life, have been able to quiet those to a place that it's not the biggest thing on my mind. Now I've opened up space for other things. So, excuse me. So it's like, I think that's what everybody wants, right? Is to just, you want to physically feel better and you mentally want to give that away, give away that like constant worry and fear and shame. And what if I overeat? What if I don't eat enough? What if I, it's like, God, that's exhausting, the amount of energy it takes just to think poorly of yourself. I mean, imagine if we woke up every day and thought amazing thoughts about ourselves. Like the energy would just be so expansive, but we waste it on dumb thoughts that mean nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. We spend so much of our time thinking about and obsessing about food and our bodies, right? When you're getting dressed in the morning, you're thinking about it. When you have to go to an event, you're thinking about it. When holidays are coming up, you worrying about it, right? Like, what am I going to eat when I'm there? What if I do this? I have to stand away from the buffet table. I have to, like, there's all of these things, and it's almost a subconscious, right? It's all of these thoughts constantly going through our heads, and we don't even realize how much we're focusing on that.
I know. I don't know if either of you are Queer Eye for the Straight Guy fans.
Love.
But I just started watching the new season, and I just can't watch that show without crying because I just love each and every one of them. They make people feel so special, and their messages are so beautiful. But I watched an episode of this woman who she had lost 70 pounds, and she was in this weird place where she was wearing clothes that were either too big for her. She had a closet full of clothes that were too small for her. Like, she just wouldn't shop for her body. And so they're like, please, like, you have this professional job, try a pencil skirt, try something that's like more your personality. And she was so hesitant about it. And their thought was like, who are you today and now? If you are a size 16 body now, why are you going to spend time hiding it, feeling ashamed of it, not buying clothes for it when, you might be a size 4 in a year or 2 years or whatever, but like, what's now? And why, why are you going to waste being happy now because of that? And I just thought that was so sweet. It's like, we need to snap out of it and just say, I'm here. I take up space. I'm a size 16 and this is what I'm going to wear, and I'm going to feel good, and whatever, who cares?
Yes. Be happy in the moment, right? Be happy in the moment, because otherwise, what's the point? You live your whole life miserable until someday when you can be happy, and you're never going to reach that point.
Yes. Yeah. It doesn't exist. It's not real.
Right. Exactly. Because something else will pop up that you're like, oh, now I need to worry about this. I'm
Yeah.
not good
Well,
enough yet.
Sean Acor says, we live our lives, and he's the positive psychology guy, right? So he says we live our lives in this constant state of when X, then I'll be happy. When Y, then I'll be happy. And he says it's actually the reverse. When you're happy, X happens. When you're happy, Y happens. And so we're constantly on the other side of that equation, hoping against hope that it's going to happen, but it doesn't, because we're not in the state creating flow, creating groove, as Jen said, right? We're not in the groove to experience the X or the Y that we're seeking.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I totally buy into that.
And we're pushing and prodding and pulling and beating up on ourselves and our bodies and we're battling with ourselves daily instead of flipping that and supporting ourselves daily, right?
Yes.
Why do we keep fighting with ourselves? Why don't we just take a breath, see what we need, and move from that place?
Yeah. And I think as far as weight is concerned, the funny thing is 35 pounds is the most I've ever lost in my whole life. I know there's I've talked about my husband before. My husband has done so many different diets and workouts, and he'll go to a span and he'll lose 70 pounds, and then he'll gain some of it back. And then he'll lose the third. He is just very systematic when it comes to losing weight. But for me, this was the first time I'd ever lost a significant amount of weight. And I thought it was going to feel so different. And I thought that the body that I lived in looked, I can't even say it looked better. It just looked different than it had. I felt better. I felt like I had more energy, but that's what I thought was such a funny observation. Is there's been times in my life where I thought I'm not going to wear a bathing suit on a vacation because I feel bloated or fat or whatever the point was. And then it's 35 pounds less. And I'm like, why wouldn't you? I mean, it's not like I haven't changed overnight. I'm not a completely different person. So that was an interesting thing for me. So it's that if this, then that, but if this happened, then I think the scariest thing is, what if we're the same? What if you don't feel different at all? Then are you still going to continue to dislike yourself? And that was so eye-opening, because it kind of forced me to look back and say, what are the things that I'm proud of? Is it making better choices? Is it moving my body more? Is it just zapping my thoughts when I want to say something terrible about myself in my mind and not doing that? And those are the things I'm way more proud of than the end result of losing weight, because that I don't feel different from that.
Interesting. That's an excellent insight. Ooh, I love that. I have to ponder on that. I love it. Let's switch gears just a bit, because I know lots of people watching it, and I know Sandra and myself have these thoughts. Like, you own 2 companies that cater to all things delicious and sugary, right? Yeah. Cookie dough and ice cream. Oh, so good. Mm-hmm. How does that play into the juxtaposition of how you feel about your body, right? Or judgments that you get from people, or that informed how you compare or judge others. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, and you and I have talked about this in a couple of our sessions too, because I think one of the biggest things that came out of a different realization is that just as I look internally and hold myself accountable and make conscious decisions, I have to put that on everyone else and say, other people around me, my community, my family, my friends, they have the same level of accountability and responsibility and consciousness that I own. So what right would I have to say and blame myself and say, I make ice cream for a living and I'm single-handedly contributing to the obesity epidemic? And why would I take credit for something so terrible and big, and frankly is way above my pay grade and, access to lobbyists. But so that's one thing that I really do think of, is that consciously, I believe that I have a choice, and so does everyone else around me. So that helps. But I also think that it's the change of, there's no such thing as like a good and bad. I like food or way you treat your body. Like, some people look at things very differently. Like some people who smoke and drink or do drugs, you might look at that and they can justify somehow consciously that that's what makes them feel good. And I think that in my situation, I think, ice cream and cookie dough and the events we get to be a part of are so special. Like we get to be a part of some of life's most amazing moments, like weddings and celebrations and graduations and birthdays and all these sorts of things. And that's what I see as the value of what we do, is so much more than just like one ice cream treat that you're going to have once a week. That's like not going to throw off your digestion and your diet plan. And it's not the devil. It's not a horrible decision. It's like one ice cream cone that you have to celebrate your birthday. And that's fun. Like that shouldn't be punished. So that's it. It's hard because I've had feelings like that before. When we first started our business, we had family members that were like, we can't even believe you're doing this. This is horrible. And everyone has an opinion about anything. People have opinions about our bodies and they don't even know us or our lifestyles. So yeah, I think I can't take on blame for something that's so much bigger than me. And secondly, I have to believe that I can consciously, as an adult woman, make a decision to eat an ice cream and not feel guilty about it. And I hope that other people can take on that philosophy, because life's too short to not eat the damn ice cream and then blame yourself for it.
Right? I could not agree more.
Yeah. And I don't know if you have found this or not, but I find that sometimes when you hold so tight to this idea that I'm not going to have it, that when you finally do have it, it's like it boomerangs, because you have been denying yourself for so long that you want more than you would have if you just released some of that and said, oh, I'm just going to have a spoonful or two and that's enough.
Yeah. And it comes with that trust too. If you're full, you stop eating. If you had a bite and that was enough for you, or maybe you want the whole extra large sundae, you had a bad week, like it's okay. And it's, life moves on, and you have to trust that you're going to make a decision that makes you feel good the next time, if it's not the ice cream or, whatever it is. But it's not just a bad decision is going to ruin everything. And you actually, Shannon, I'm stealing your line, but it's, one decision that you make isn't going to ruin your whole progress or the way you view yourself.
Right. Right. And we talked a lot about trusting ourselves.
Yeah.
Because I feel like currently, many of us don't, which is why we're always looking outside to have someone say, what are you supposed to do? What am I supposed to eat? How am I supposed to do this? I have to control myself, right? Mm-hmm. Because we don't trust ourselves. And when you start to trust yourself and you start to learn what feels good to your body and what rules you want to make for your life and your body and how you take care of yourself, then you start tapping into your own power and your own trust. And right? I'm going to go on vacation to Europe, right? And I'm going to enjoy every experience. I am going to drink all of the delicious beers and eat the delicious food and the desserts. Yeah. I am going to have an experience that I'll never forget. And I know when I come home, I'll just go back to normal, because I trust that I'm not going to keep going on this horrible binge and make it not feel good for myself.
Yeah. Yeah. And and I think, Sandra, to your point too, it's those rules, those archaic, arbitrary rules that somehow we created in our minds that we have to live by, and they don't exist in the real world. They just don't. I'm going to eat only during Monday through Friday, only eat salad and grilled chicken. That's it. And then you go out for happy hour and you eat the cheese fries, and all of a sudden it's like self-loathing city and you can't get a turn out of it. And I don't want to live in that place. And I don't think anybody does, but I think it's that consciousness that is a kind of parallel to trusting yourself and making decisions that support you, not that support some stupid diet or what, whatever celebrity is talking about their lose weight fast plan.
I have to tell you, I had a physical reaction when you talked about cayenne pepper and honey and water and I don't know what else. Is this like a real thing?
Yeah.
Oh,
how Beyonce says that she lost all that weight after she had her twins and then she went on tour and she drank water, lemon, a tablespoon of honey and cayenne pepper for 10 days. Like she didn't eat food for 10 days.
No, thank you.
Yeah, I know.
No, thank you.
Even to look like Beyonce, that's not a sacrifice I'm willing to make.
Right. Agree. So yeah, it's all about, so go ahead, Sandra.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I also noticed I had a reaction when you were talking about trust, and Shannon started talking about the Christmas parties and the standing back from the buffet table. And I don't quite remember in what order it came in, but the thought that came through my mind was this instantaneous recall of somebody saying, when you fail to plan, you plan to fail, right? And this whole idea that, well, you're going to this party. What are you going to do? How are you going to do this? What are you going to eat instead? Have you thought about where you're going? Are you going to eat beforehand? Are you not going to eat after? Are you going to eat during? Do you know what they're serving? And I'm like, wow, like that is a whole lot of fear-based talk. And I had like a really emotional response to Shannon saying, you got all these parties and you got a plan. And I know that's not what you were saying at all, but what it brought up in me was all those people who, in all the years that I was dieting, would say, you have this event coming up. How are you going to plan to get your way through it? Make your way through it. And you were talking about trusting that you were going to make the right decisions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a huge aha for me right now. Yeah, and have a good time. And it was like, no, I'm not having a good time. I'm like stressed galore.
Yeah. Right. But the funny thing is, when you think about it and you go in with that different mindset, right? We're like, okay, I'm going to go and enjoy. I'm going to have whatever the desserts are, right? Because sometimes you only get them at Christmas. Who wants to deny themselves of that? And you go in with that attitude, I'm going to have a good time and I'm going to enjoy. And most of the time, you'll find that you actually don't overdo it, right? You don't go crazy because you've already given yourself permission that it's okay to do this.
Yep.
It's interesting.
Yeah. But I think we've all been there.
Yes.
There is, I, for one, and this works for some people, but I think that Weight Watchers is a really stressful form of weight loss. And I don't agree with the idea of, it's like how having a budget really stresses people out. And I'm actually reading this new finance book about conscious spending. And that's kind of the same. It's like conscious dieting. It's instead of such a limiting approach where you're like, no, I can't have any of that. And you got to plot it out beforehand and count your points and make sure you do that before you leave the house. It's like, that's not how life is. And so if you live your life long enough on a Weight Watcher plan, you're going to hit a place where you are going to have a panic attack when you can't count your damn points. So that to me is just not realistic.
Well, and there's an element too of, it strikes me of punishment, of not just fear, but this idea that you kind of have to look, I don't even know how to describe it, but like when your kids and your parents are constantly watching you because they know you're not going to make a good decision. And right on top of it all, heaven forbid, somebody actually sees it and then comes and tells you about it, right? It's kind of like everybody's the enemy, right? Because you don't know who's watching. So your kids sneak off to do something so that nobody can catch them doing it, right?
Yeah.
And it smacks of that. It's like, somebody's going to report me. Report me to who? Like, it's my body, my food, right? Like, I'm the one who's opening, but there's this element of, I got to do it in secret. Lord forbid somebody actually see me doing this, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And I think I just want to also make the point, because we were talking about this. Some people, right? Like for you, counting and doing that is triggering, right? So
for me,
you want to stay for Vicki, and maybe for you, and for myself, I have a love-hate relationship with it, right? But for other people, I feel like if used properly as just a tool to help themselves, maybe they don't know this is like a good plate. This is what a good plate looks like, or this is what a good proper portion size looks like. Those kinds of tools, I think, can be used to help people when they're in that point of their journey, just so they get an idea of, oh, okay, this is like where I need to be headed to be more healthy. And then you can let go of, like, because I'm not a big proponent of counting and tracking either, just because I've done it and I also have PTSD from it. But I do say when I first started losing weight, it was very helpful for me because I had zero concept, right, of those things. So I just wanted to say that to be fair on.
And it's true. It depends on where you are in your journey, right? And I was thinking earlier when you guys were talking about trust that, we're not often taught how to trust ourselves in any capacity, not just around food, but just around money or around decisions or around the right people and, discerning what's good for us and what's, maybe not the best choice we've made. No one ever, well, I tried to do it more with my children than was done with me, to ask my children, well, how do you feel about that? Rather than like when they come to me and they say, what do you think I should do? We'll walk through, well, what if you do this? And what if you do that? And what do you do? And how will you feel? Or how do you want to feel? Right. So that they can experience that in themselves. Right. And after they've done it, well, what did you learn from that? Right. But no one ever taught me how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's such an important part of learning to trust yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's great that you do that with your kids, because I think a lot of people don't. I hire a lot of 16-year-olds where it's their first job, and I feel a responsibility to coach and help them realize, that they have a responsibility and they are accountable and capable people. But yeah, what I notice a lot is they need to be told exactly what to do, and the creative problem solving isn't always there. And so I agree. I think we need to build up a world where people can trust their instincts and know that they're doing a good job and feel like that they are valuable and they can contribute, and then they can use those skills to make better choices about their own lives. So it's a ripple effect in so many different ways to build up that muscle.
It's kind of like that list, that plan that Shannon always talks about, that I say, just give me the plan. Tell me what I'm supposed to eat.
Yeah.
Tell me what I'm not supposed to eat. Tell me what I'm supposed to make for breakfast. I'm not going to need that for you.
There's a lot of recipes, though. There's a large arsenal of recipes.
That is true. You are correct.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Oh, this has been wonderful.
It's great.
Sandra or Vicki, do you have anything else you feel like you want to share at the moment?
Nothing for me. Just that this was a lovely way to kick off the weekend, and I'm so honored to be a part of it.
Agree. Thank you so much.
Where do we find your ice cream store, Vicki?
So you can find Remix. We are located at West 115th Street in Clifton in Cleveland. It is in the Edgewater neighborhood. And then our food truck, Cleveland Cookie Dough, is always available for rental. We do everything from grad parties, weddings, to funerals, literally anything in between that you can think of. And that is just clecookie-dough.com.
Wow. And you said your ice cream is non-dairy?
We do have a non-dairy at Remix. Yes.
Okay. Oh, so you have dairy and non-dairy ice creams.
Correct. Yes.
Mm-hmm. And how is your caramel ice cream?
So we're a non-traditional ice cream shop in the fact that we only have vanilla and chocolate.
Sandra.
And then we have cookies, chocolates, and cereals that we blend all together. So it comes out like a custom soft serve.
It's delicious and fun.
We can do caramel sauce on top, but it's not necessarily a caramel flavored.
Yeah, don't worry. You will enjoy it, I promise.
You'd be covered.
Yeah. It is super fun to go in there and pick out what you want, I have to say. Yeah. I went with something that was already put together because I am not very creative at putting flavors together, and it was amazing.
It's a good way to go. It is.
Mm-hmm.
So I could choose to have like a vanilla ice cream with like granola.
We don't have granola, but we have stuff that's similar.
Okay. And then I could put like caramel sauce on top of it.
Yeah, we have caramel, we have fruit, we have cereals, we have all sorts of stuff. Peanuts.
Okay. Caramel, peanuts, vanilla ice cream, and something that resembles granola.
Yes.
I'm sold.
I'm sensing a field trip for the two of us.
I know.
Totally. And Diane, when she comes,
let me know whenever we're coming. I love it.
Yeah, just fill up on the caramel sauce. Okay.
You got it.
I'm a little partial to caramel.
Who isn't? Amazing.
I'm not partial to caramel.
Oh,
we need to find a song about caramel.
No, my God. I'm sure we could. That's where the DJ comes in.
Oh, we need Jamie Kravitz then. We'll get her.
Yes.
Here we go.
Yes, perfect. Here we go. We got connections.
I love it.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Have an amazing weekend. And
Vicki, it was lovely to meet you.
Yeah.
You too, Sandra. And thanks, Shannon, again. I hope you guys have a great weekend.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.